An awful lot has happened at Tottenham Hotspur since the departure of Gareth Bale 4 years ago. The Spurs squad is now almost unrecognisable to the one that was so reliant on the Welshman for goals and inspiration. Andre Villas-Boas was in charge at the time of Bale's exit, but he was soon to be replaced by Tim Sherwood, who was then eventually sacked to make way for Mauricio Pochettino. And since Poch arrived, Spurs have been one of the best clubs in the country, bringing through a handful of good English talent such as Harry Kane, Dele Alli and Eric Dyer. But we reckon they still miss the influence of Gareth Bale. Bale's last 2 games against Spurs, oddly enough, came against Jamaica and Swindon Town. So here is that final 11 to play with Bale from that game against Swindon, which Spurs drew 1-1. Hugo Lloris. The Frenchman has now been at Tottenham for the past 5 years and has been excellent since that £12.5 million move. Now 30, Lloris has played more than 200 games for Spurs and is now the club captain. Kyle Walker. Only 2 players in this 11 are still at Spurs, and they just happen to be the first 2 on the team sheet. Walker was outstanding for Spurs in the Premier League last season, but he may not be around too much longer with the likes of Man City and Barcelona reportedly interested on him. The pacey right back will be a huge loss for Pochettino, having been one of the best and most consistent fullbacks in Europe. Michael Dawson. This former stalwart and club captain, Dawson spent 9 years at Spurs, playing 324 games and winning the League Cup in 2008. Dawson left for Hull City in 2014 and is still recovering from another relegation with the Tigers. Kevin Stewart. This Enfield-born defensive midfielder left for Spurs in 2014 without making a single league appearance for the club. And he went on to join Liverpool, at where he's still at, now aged 23, having made a total of 20 appearances in 3 seasons, being loaned out 3 times. Kyle Norton. Norton joined Spurs alongside Walker from Sheffield United in 2009. And the fullback remained at White Hart Lane up until January 2015, where he made a £5 million switch to Swansea City. And Norton has been a regular with the Swans ever since, narrowly avoiding relegation to the Championship last season. Tom Huddleston. Tottenham have sold a number of players to Hull City in recent years, and Huddleston was actually the first of them. He was superb for Spurs alongside Luka Modric in midfield, but fell out of favour following injury and then joined the Tigers for £5 million in 2013. And he's currently one of the longest serving players in that squad. Gylfi Sigurdsson. Another talented midfielder who Tottenham let go, and they may quite regret selling Sigurdsson to Swansea City. The Icelandic man had the 2nd most assists and the 6th most goals of any midfielder in the Premier League last season. And his excellent performances have seen him linked with a host of Premier League clubs this summer. Nabil Bentaleb. Bentaleb featured regularly for Spurs during the 2014-2015 campaign, but obviously wasn't fancied by Pochettino. He was loaned out to Schalke before joining them permanently. Gareth Bale, obviously. Bale was actually the man who scored in this game, and things have definitely changed since that day against Swindon. The Welshman has won 3 Champions League trophies in 4 years for Los Blancos, as well as winning La Liga this year. Though this season stalled a little for him due to injuries, and then the superb performance of Isco made it kinda hard for him to break back into the first team. However, if Cristiano Ronaldo does actually leave the Bernabeu, Bale could find himself in the position to become the main man for Real Madrid. Christian Ceballos. This former Barcelona youth prospect and YouTube sensation joined Tottenham in 2013 as an 18-year-old. And despite some excellent performances for the Spurs youth teams, he was never given a first team appearance before being released in 2015. The Spanish number 10 went on to join Charlton Athletic, where he played 5 league games, but was loaned out for all of last season. Jermaine Defoe. This Tottenham favourite spent 9 years at White Hart Lane in 2 separate spells. And his Premier League days were seemingly over in 2014 when he left Spurs for Toronto FC. 3.5 years on, the born poacher is back in England and back amongst the goals, and even in the international side, following a prolific 2 seasons with struggling Sunderland. Relegated from the Premier League last season with Sunderland, it is widely expected that he's going to rejoin Bournemouth. And that's our team. Who else should we do a Final 11s video on? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.